They don't grow on trees. So they used to trade with conch shells. So that's like one of the historic artifacts, you know. Just reminds me, like in some of the museums, you can see there's artifacts from even Dwarka. They've got the coins which they used in Dwarka. Dwarka, of course, now is underwater, you know, because Krishna made a city which was in the sea. And so they've gone. What do they call it? The people who go in the water, under the water, and they excavate everything, right? Archaeologists, right? So they've gone in and they found so many artifacts from this lost city of Dwarka, and so it just proves that, you know, that the city of God, Dwarka, is actually there. Is under now. It's sunk underwater. It's still all the remnants are still there. So, just on the subject of historic artifacts. Yeah. In modern day, Prabhupada, he said that when the city of Mayapur comes up, right now it's a village, isn't it? Or, you know, a small town, say. You know, there's like 5,000 residents now in Mayapur, 5,000-6,000 today. But Prabhupada predicted it'll be a big city, a huge city, spiritual capital of the world. Prabhupada said Mayapur will become. Then he said that you can have coins. He told, I think he told Jayapataka Maharaj or Bhavananda Maharaj, that you can have coins. You can have your own currency in the city. It'll become like its own. It will become, you know, like Rome is like its own state, like that, has its own currency. So from memory, he said that you can have your own currency called Chaitanyas. So you can pay, give me 10 Chaitanyas for this. Huh? So Prabhupada had such a big vision and such a detailed, you know, had such a detailed idea of what this vision will be like. Yeah? Down to the form of money and everything. Prabhupada outlined so many things for Mayapur. That's just one aspect. So you can hear these in some of the memories of the old Mayapur devotees.
Yeah, he even said that every temple president would be an ambassador for Mayapur when Mayapur becomes independent from India.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. So sometimes they said that these temples are like embassies of the spiritual world, right? Have you heard that before? Has everyone heard that before? Yeah. So then you can take that literally, isn't it? Like you're saying, Prabhu. So the embassies of Mayapur, which is the spiritual world, Mayapur Dham. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue. Then he would visit the cowherds. When he came near the cowherds, he would say, "Hey Gopal, hey cowherds." Then they would say, "Oh, Nimai Pandit, come." They would give him a nice seat, wash his feet, and bow down. Lord Chaitanya would say, "Bring the milk, bring the yogurt, bring the ghee, bring the cheese." "Well, I don't have any money, how will I pay?" "That's all right," they would say. They brought seats for the students and gave them so many offerings of milk products. In this way, there was various little exchanges. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya would encourage them in various ways. Then he would leave the cowherders and continue his tour of the town. So this is another kind of exchange that Mahaprabhu would have, and this time in the cowherd community. Yeah. So all these people, you can imagine, in Navadvip, they were so fortunate because they had these different little pastimes. Everyone have their little pastimes with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And of course, the personalities in the pastimes are not ordinary, because they would, from their previous lives, they, you know, they build up their good spiritual credit so that they can actually enter into these pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, no matter how big or small their role was in the pastimes. Yeah. So they're all like divine personalities, actually. Even the demigods, they would come and take birth, as we read in the beginning of this book. Gauranga book, that even the demigods, they would take birth in Navadvip, in Bengal, in Jagannath Puri, in all the different places Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, just so that they could have a little glimpse of his pastime, just so they can interact. Yeah. Okay, so who would like to read next? Will it be, who did I say? Was it Nimesh Prabhu? We're going to read next?
Okay.
Or Lanisha? I think we've got a few more readers as well now. Smita, have you got a copy of the book as well?
Yes, I have.
Oh, great, okay.
Yeah, I've got that today.
Jai.
Thank you.
Okay, who would like to read next?
I can read, Prabhu, if that's okay.
Super, okay.
Sometimes Lord Chaitanya would visit the scented oil merchant. Again, they would give him a nice seat, and the Lord would ask, "Well, what do you have today?" The merchant would reply, "I have such an oil that if you put it on today, go to bed, and tomorrow morning, if you still don't have the scent, you can get your money back." Lord Chaitanya said, "Well, I don't have any money. I'm just a poor brahmana, a poor scholar. I don't have any money." They would all melt when they saw Lord Chaitanya. All these people, after performing many, many austerities, they were able to be here in Navadvipa, associating with the Lord in an informal way. He was just visiting their houses, sitting with them, talking with them. Then they would give some oil to the disciples, and they would rub oil on his body. Then he would leave the oilman's house and continue down the street. All the other scholars would say, "Here comes Nimai Pandit. He looks like a lion coming with his whole pride."
Right. So any thoughts on this, this paragraph? If nothing else we can say, perfume is bona fide. Right? Even the Brahmins, they would wear nice, fragrant, scented items. Of course, there would be Maha. They would have Maha Prasad. They would wear that. Yeah. In the case of Lord Chaitanya, you could get it straight from the merchant, because he's putting on himself, and of course then everyone gets the benefit of that. And I think even at temples they accept, if you want to buy perfume for the deities, they accept whatever perfume it is. I don't know any of the brands. What do they have? Dior or Ralph Lauren? I don't know. These different perfume brands, they accept it at the temples as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's accepted. But better is if you can give like these scented oils, because they're made from pure ingredients, no alcohol. So it's said that in different ages, these sacred oils, or these scented oils, they had more potency in the previous ages. That you could put this oil on, and it would last for days, and the fragrance would be very strong. And in fact, even the scent itself, like that oil, it would last for many, 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 many years. See, but these days, not only is those kind of oils, not only is fragrant oils very hard to come by, is one thing, and also their potency, their strength is so much more weakened in the Kali Yuga. So this is like one of the effects, in the Kali Yuga, everything goes down, everything degrades, to the extent that now all this alcoholic scents and perfumes are now more available, because that's the standard now, isn't it? So, but actually, this is considered to be the more pure standard. This type of oils.
Well, talking about scent, I do remember one pastime, Prabhu. I don't know where I read it, maybe WhatsApp or sure. One great devotee of Krishna and Radha, he would have he would have spent some 1,000 rupees, more than 1,000 rupees to buy in that time to buy a perfume for Krishna. And he would bring that. He travels from a long distance though, and he would have come to meet some Goswamis or some senior devotees, I'm not sure. That devotee would be in deep meditation about Radha and Krishna. He would be sitting and waiting for his darshan. He didn't go to temple yet, but he would have kept that scent in front of the Guru Maharaj, we could say. And he was in deep meditation. At that time, Krishna and Radha were playing and throwing flowers or colors on, throwing colors among themselves. So he got so much excited in that pastime. This guru would take that scent and throw it, thinking that he is involved in that pastime. This devotee was so upset. He felt like crying, but he couldn't say anything. And then after some time, Guru would come out of that pastime and he would bless the devotee. He would say, "You go and have a darshan of Radha and Krishna." He would say, "What is the point in meeting now? I haven't got anything now to offer." And with broken heart, he will enter into Krishna Radha temple. But as soon as he entered, he could smell that perfume all around the temple. So it was so amazing. He felt that the Guru is so powerful that whatever we would like to offer, it's if it is done through the Guru, that's great. Directly it reaches Krishna.
It's a very important point, yeah. Wonderful story, huh? Yeah.
Sorry, Prabhu, I diverted it. When you said scent, I didn't immediately remember that part.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, Guru is Sakshat Hari, you know. He's directly as good as Krishna himself. So there's nice proof there. You want to continue, Alinisha?
Okay, Prabhu. Again, he went walking with his students. He went to the house of the pan merchant, who gave him a nice seat.
Did we miss one?
I think I missed one, sorry.
No problem.
After that, Lord Chaitanya went to the forest to meet a person who makes the garland. With great respect, he offered a seat to Lord Chaitanya. The Lord said, "Well, do you have any garland for a humble brahmana?" Then the garland maker gave a beautiful garland to Lord Chaitanya. The Lord said, "I don't have any money." "Well, you can give or not give, that is not a problem. Actually, this is all for you." In this way, Lord Chaitanya gave his merciful glance to the garland makers.
That's nice, huh? Okay. Maybe we could continue, unless there's anyone who'd like to speak. Just carry on.
Again, he went walking with his students. He went to the house of the pan merchant, who gave him a nice seat and offered him all respect. He offered some nice pan with different types of spices. Lord Chaitanya took the pan and gave him mercy. In this way, he was going with all his followers and visiting everyone, and everyone was reciprocating with him.
Right. So it seems like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's going around all different kind of places, huh? He's going from, like cloth merchants, which are, in a city. He's going to like the best cloth merchants, getting the latest styles of dhotis and clothes. Then he's going out to the pastures, to the cowherd man, the cowherd boy, sorry. Then he's going to, the oil merchant. Then he's going to the forest, where the garlands are made. And now where spices are made, yeah? So all these different types of places existed in Navadvip, yeah? So you can imagine, like, the kind of cityscape is what I'm trying to say. The kind of different variety of environments they have in those type of cities, you know. As compared to today, you know, when you think about London as a city, it's it can be said it's like a concrete jungle. It doesn't have so much of that variety, huh? Like how we're reading here, there's different forests there, and there's pastures, everything, you know. There's a whole variety there. There's a place you can go, and they're actually making those scented oils there, and then the spices are being ground right there fresh, you know, in the city. You go to the right place and you can find the right item. These days you have such a huge city like London, and everything is just imported in, huh? Only commerce is in the city. Finance, commerce, different things like that. But in terms of produce, everything is brought in. It's a very different kind of city structure, huh, compared to here. So this is a very natural city environment. So it's not that in our Krishna consciousness we don't believe, you know, that cities, we don't believe in, you know, developed places. We read Srimad Bhagavatam, we read descriptions of such wonderful, opulent cities. So they also have a place. Everything has a place in the Vedic lifestyle. Yeah. When we think of when we have to become a devotee, or when we become a devotee, we don't. Sometimes we may think that, you know, we have to give up this, you know, this type of lifestyle. It's, you know, very austere and so on. But it's not the case. We read about these type of places, and we can see there's actually much more natural opulence and more natural beauty, even in the city place, even in the cityscape, even in the metropolitan environment. So it's nice to see that. So in this last paragraph, we're reading about how Krishna, or how Nimai Pandit, he would eat this pan, right? Yeah. So as devotees, we don't eat betel nut. Yeah, we don't eat that that particular spice because it's said to be. Does anyone know why we don't eat betel nut? Pan.
Is it thumbs? Is either ignorant or it's tamsi, anger or ignorant? One of the two.
Yeah, it's considered that it's it's intoxicating. You know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's tamasic. Yeah, you're right. So, but of course, in the spiritual world, none of these ingredients are tamasic in nature. They're spiritual in nature. So all of the things in this world, even, you know, be it poisonous items, you know, in the spiritual world they still exist, but in the pure form. So you just have the pure enjoyment from them, but no ill effects are there. So that's why when we read about Krishna, and he's eating betel nut, you know, and there's descriptions of how, you know, there's a reddish mark on his teeth from eating the betel nut, right? So because in the spiritual world all those items are pure, that, you know, they give transcendental ecstasy. Yeah. Whereas in the material world they bring one down, they, you know, intoxicate someone, they make us forget Krishna. Whereas there, you know, the intoxication for Krishna increases. Amazing. So this is a similar situation here. And at the same time, the betel nut can be offered to the deity, but we don't take the prasadam. So that's also accepted in deity worship, that we can offer the betel nut. We can offer pan to the deities. So you can just imagine, like here, that Lord Chaitanya himself is walking around the town. He is like a walking deity. He's been given milk products. He's been given garlands. He's been given betel nut. He's been given fresh clothes. He's like a walking, living deity. You know, personally offering all those things to him. So And as Mataji mentioned earlier, the spiritual master can also be seen like that, you know, a living deity. The spiritual master is accepting offerings on behalf of Krishna. That's the fact. Yeah. So you can actually have that kind of reciprocation with the spiritual master, which we may not be aware or, you know, experiencing with the deity. Because of our level of consciousness, we don't experience that interaction with the deity, but we can have that experience with the spiritual master. When we serve the spiritual master and we offer something, we can have that exchange and that interaction, you know, that comes with the offerings that we make. This is what a very wonderful thing. The spiritual master is a representative of Krishna. So, we'll read one more then, Lanisha.
Just as Lord Krishna would walk around Mathura and everyone would come out to see him, Lord Chaitanya was similarly walking around the whole of Navadvipa. From house to house, person to person, everyone was conscious of Lord Chaitanya. Actually, they were hoping that Lord Chaitanya would visit again. It wasn't every day that he would visit. He was just going gradually from one house to another.
So I just want to open it out and see if anyone has any thoughts or comments or questions.
It's just interesting that none of the residents of Navadvipa, they're not bothered about their maintenance. They just give all these things to the Lord because I guess they have all they're just totally enamored by the Lord's beauty. So they're not worried about their own maintenance or anything like I am, for example, in this world.
Yeah. They're detached, right? So how does that detachment come about? So actually we can only truly become detached if we're attached to something higher, isn't it? That's the principle in Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? What is that verse? To get the higher taste, you know? In chapter 2, I've forgotten the verse now. Prabhupada quotes it many times. But you can only be detached from lower things if you have a higher taste. So this is the thing, that they were not attached to having the things for themselves, because their higher taste was actually in giving those things to Nimai Pandit. They were more pleased, they experienced more pleasure in giving to him what they had than keeping it for themselves. So this is actually the pastimes, isn't it? Essence of the pastime. It's a nice point, Prabhu. Thanks. So do you want to read next then, Nimesh Prabhu?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Lanisha.
Once Lord Chaitanya visited an astrologer who had some special power to see the future. So Lord Chaitanya went there, and with great respect he said, "You are a scholar. You know the past, present, and future. Could you tell me what I was in my previous birth?" The astrologer started to chant the Gopal Krishna mantra to give him his special vision. He started to look at Lord Chaitanya and then closed his eyes and started meditating. All of a sudden, in his vision, he saw the Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, the lotus flower, conch shell, club, and Sudarshan Chakra disc in the hands of Lord Narayan. He was completely astonished.
Right. So so now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is visiting an astrologer, isn't it? Okay. So how does this astrologer have this special power? How does he access these visions? So please feel free to participate in the discussion.
By chanting the Gopal Krishna mantra.
Yeah, that's right. That's what's mentioned here. So there are different kinds of mantras actually. Many of these kind of mantras mentioned, like here, the Gopal Krishna mantra. they have to come in a line of disciplic succession. So he is an astrologer, he's a Brahmin, and one of the legitimate practices or occupations or type of work, careers for a Brahmin will be astrology, yeah. But they don't only learn just how to read charts and calculate patterns in the sky through the stars and so on, but they also have been initiated into that practice. So they get these mantras through their teachers, through their gurus, yeah, in their line of work. So you can see this particular astrologer was powerful. He had a very pure line, yeah. And so by chanting this mantra, then it was very effective. And what did he see in chanting this mantra in this particular instance?
The lotus flower.
Yeah, that's one item, yeah. Anything else?
The conch shell.
Yeah. Halfway there.
Sudarshan chakra disc. So
Yeah.
really everything that Lord Narayan would have as in his form.
Yeah, so he saw in his vision all these items which Narayan carries in his forearms, yeah? Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. So he was really astonished because this wasn't a normal kind of vision that he would have when he would chant these mantras. So the normal thing would be they chant the mantras and they're able to kind of experience some of the past life of that person. They'll go in and they'll be able to ask the person, okay, what do you see now? And, it's like a regression kind of thing that they would do. But here, he's starting to see these items of Vishnu. Okay. You want to read on Nimesh, Prabhu?
Yeah. Gradually his vision was changing, and then he saw a baby inside a prison house. Narayan became a baby in the hands of Vasudeva and Devaki. Vasudeva took the baby across the raging river to the place of Nanda and Yashoda in Gokul, and gave the blue-colored boy Krishna to Mother Yashoda. Then he saw the boy grow up and saw him breastfeeding from Mother Yashoda.
Right, so what's happening now?
He's seeing Krishna in like the prison house and him traveling with Vasudeva to Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda.
Yeah, he's actually entered the pastime of Mathura and Gokul, isn't it? So that's really special. He's actually first-hand witnessing the pastime, because they're not historical events. The pastimes are spiritual in nature, aren't they? So they're ever fresh. They're always going on. So he's actually entered the pastime, right? Okay, what happens next? Let's carry on.
Then he saw him going to the forest, playing songs on his flute, tending the cows, and dancing in the Raslila. Like this, the whole Krishna Lila was happening before him. Why I am seeing this, he thought. Then he opened his eyes and saw Lord Chaitanya, Sachinandan. He couldn't understand why I am seeing this.
Yeah. So it was a very surreal experience, huh? So he saw everything so he saw the whole Vrindavan pastime. He saw everything up to the Ras Leela, up to Krishna's, like 16 years old. Right? So he must have been away for a little while, right? Like, hello. And he's in this trance, Okay. Or did it happen in a moment? It doesn't say. Okay. Karen?
When the astrologer closed his eyes again and began to meditate, he saw Ramchandra, green-colored with his bow, and Hanuman, the great monkey. Then he started to see the Matsya incarnation, the divine fish swimming in the big ocean, saving the Vedas. Then he saw Bali being saved by Vamana, and saw the form of the Lord as Nrsingadev killing Hiranyakashipu. He saw the form of the Lord as Varaha lifting up the earth from the lower regions of the universe where it fell and became dislocated from its orbit. In this way, he was amazed to see the different incarnations of the Lord.
Right. So any thoughts on this? Any reflections from you all?
So he's seeing all the incarnations. He's
Yeah,
first through Vishnu, then he went through Krishna. After Krishna, he's seeing all these incarnations. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been so merciful to him, I think, by going to him and
yeah, so merciful.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. All I can say is I feel quite jealous. That's so amazing, right? Wouldn't it be so amazing to have that experience? Right? Something to wish for. Right? What an amazing exchange. Right, so what happens next?
Then he again opened his eyes and looked at Lord Chaitanya. He saw that he was very powerful and effulgent, filled with spiritual potency. Then he thought, this is some great mystic yogi or some great demigod who has come, and somehow he is giving me all these visions just to bewilder me, to somehow test me. He is not an ordinary person.
Yeah. Okay, any more thoughts, reflections, questions? We can continue.
I was just
Yes?
going to say before that, before you were saying how Lord Chaitanya very subtly showed Sachimata that he was God. I
Right.
was thinking that this is not subtle. This is like so obvious, but it seems like I guess are all the residents of Navadvip, I don't know if it's part of the pastime that they don't want to recognize Lord Chaitanya as God because they just want to have that sweet relationship with him. I think I'm just wondering why, because like these, like when we read it, it seems like these are obvious signs, but still he's saying he's just like a great demigod, but he's still not thinking that Lord Chaitanya is God.
Yeah. So why is it that, he sees such vivid, clear indications, and then on the other hand, when he comes out of it, he's just like, no, it can't be. Right? So this is at least just my reflection on this. It's a good question you raised, actually. My reflection is that that they enter into this yoga maya. It's because of yoga maya they get these visions, they get these experiences, and then yoga maya then gives, or mahamaya may give them back, their original covering. Yeah. So we should know that we're always under the shelter of either yoga maya or Krishna or mahamaya. We're always under the shelter of the Lord's, one of the Lord's energies. That was my understanding. So even though he entered into that spiritual yoga maya, when he came out of it again, he was just in mahamaya. So it was by the influence of the Lord's energy. He remembered, and also he was able to forget. That was my understanding. Maybe that's going to be clear in the next sentence if you just read that one as well.
Because of the illusion, he couldn't figure out why he was seeing these visions, that this was Krishna himself, and these were his previous births, his previous avatars.
Yeah, and I think it continues now in the next. If you want to carry on one more.
Because the illusion was covering him, he didn't understand. You can't realize Krishna if he doesn't want you to. Even if he is standing in front of you, you won't be able to actually have that faith, have that understanding that this is actually Krishna. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah. So I think it answers it more clearly there. What do you think, Prabhu?
Yeah, it answers it more clearly.
Yeah, so it was the illusion.
Yeah. It reminds me, like a few days ago, Shivram Maharaj was saying that even when Krishna was on the earth planet, those who were not devotees, they just saw like a reflection of Krishna. They didn't see like the real Krishna because they were not devotees.
Oh yeah, that's right. So like you had Duryodhana, Krishna showed him the universal form, and so yeah, many people like that. Even in Kamsa's Mathura, in the time when Kamsa was ruling Mathura, then there were different residents, and Krishna would go around, and they didn't appreciate he was the Supreme Lord. Right? Do you remember any of those stories? Did Maharaj give any examples? In the class that you heard, did Maharaj give any examples of that?
Oh, he was just talking in the context of Lord Chaitanya, in that when he was traveling, he didn't give any examples, but he was just saying like when Lord Chaitanya was traveling through South India, it's not that everybody became a Mahabhagavad upon seeing him. Only those who actually had some devotional attitude toward Lord Chaitanya were affected in that way, and others, they, those who didn't have any devotional attitude, they didn't see him as God. They couldn't, obviously they couldn't, because like it says here, Krishna doesn't let them realize if they don't have that devotional attitude.
Yeah, they have to have that enough faith, isn't it? Enough shraddha. Yeah. Okay. Any thoughts from anyone else? Questions? You want to continue a little bit more, Prabhu?
Yeah. So the astrologer became completely bewildered. He offered his obeisances to Lord Chaitanya, but he thought that he was maybe some kind of demigod that had descended. He could not understand who Lord Chaitanya was. He didn't tie these things together, even though he had all these visions.
Yeah, so yeah, it's very much like you said, that Krishna can reveal himself and still don't realize it. So it's amazing, isn't it? It's such mercy, right? That someone like this would, actually see the whole Bhagavatam, like see it, be a part of it, witness it, and then just go back to like ordinary life, pop back out into ordinary life. And then he was just kind of like perplexed, like, is it a demigod or what, I was discussing this with my wife earlier today, and she was saying so it's more important than seeing is hearing. She made this really good point. More important than seeing is hearing about Krishna, right? Because if you hear about Krishna enough, then you can understand who he really is. We can understand Krishna from hearing. Shraddha or faith comes from hearing rather than seeing. In the modern world, what do they say? Seeing is?
Believing.
Right. So that's what our modern conception is. Can you show me God? Isn't it? People will say, like, you believe in God, can you show me God? So that's not our philosophy, actually, no. Even if we show you God, then will you believe it? Because we got enough examples of God showing himself and people didn't believe it. Everyone in Kurukshetra saw Krishna in his Virat Roop. Or rather, everyone saw Krishna in the middle of the battlefield there, instructing. Everyone heard Bhagavad Gita. But they all didn't become devotees the way Arjuna was. So seeing, but then if they actually understood the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, then we can understand. Then we can really see God. Then we can really believe that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we say hearing is believing. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would be quite critical of the people who come to temple and they just go for darshan. There's a lecture going on. We see that sometimes in the Bhagavatam class at the temple. People come in, they bypass the lecture and they go for the darshan. And he would make strong statements to them. You remember what he would say? He would say, I hope you're enjoying your eye massage. They're going for darshan of the deities, And he said, I hope you're enjoying your eye massage. Because the people like to go and they say, oh, this looks really nice. I like how the dress is like this and this is like that. And, the turban has got so many different colors or whatever, Okay, very nice. Let's go and do the next thing now. I've got a busy day. Off they go. Put in a few coins in the box, ring the bell, buy a packet of incense sticks, off you go. Right? But so he was very heavy. He said, I hope you're enjoying your eye massage. If you really want to see Krishna, then sit here in the lecture, understand who is God. And make heavy statements like that. Yeah. Okay, so I have a next reader. Would anyone like to read?
If this,
Yeah, go ahead then, Smita Mataji.
thank you. On another occasion, Lord Chaitanya went with his followers to see the banana salesman named
We were just on
Sridhar.
sorry to interrupt. We're on the previous paragraph still, right? Did we read that one? Sorry if we did.
Oh no, we didn't. Sorry, I beg your pardon.
Okay, want to start there?
Sorry.
No problem.
The same thing happened in Krishna's pastimes when the astrologer Garga Muni went to see Krishna. At that time, Nanda asked Garga Muni to preview the horoscope of Krishna, and he saw that in his previous births, Krishna was green, yellow, and red. In this way, he also had a vision of Krishna's previous incarnations.
Okay. So unless anyone has any comments or questions about this pastime, we could continue to the next one now.
On another occasion, Lord Chaitanya went with his followers to see the banana salesman named Sridhar. He used to sell banana flowers, the core of banana trees, the various types of vegetables, and he was a very poor man. But Lord Chaitanya would go to see him, and he would give Lord Chaitanya a very nice seat, and again, there was a very nice reciprocation. Lord Chaitanya asked him, how is everything? Sridhar said, well, whatever I am getting, I am trying to offer 50% for Ganji's puja.
So this Sridhar, he is a very favorite devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we're about to find out. Okay.
Then Lord Chaitanya would say, but your cloth has got holes in it, and there are holes in your roof. Look at all the people worshipping various demigods. They are so rich, and you are so poor. You are the devotee of Supreme Lord, who is the husband of Goddess of Fortune. Why are you so poor? Why is it that these people who are worshipping demigods and doing other materialistic activities are so rich? So then the banana seller Sridhar said, my cloth may be short, or it may be long. It may have 1 or 2 rips, but after all, I have a cloth, and that is enough. And the house is air-conditioned.
So he was very humorous. This is actually taken from the direct lectures of Jayapataka Swami. So these are like direct transcriptions made into this book. So this is actually how he tells the pastimes, with these jokes. He speaks. So he's not got trousers, but he's got shorts, and his house is air conditioned. Saying that way. So, okay, you want to continue more?
He said, whether one is a big king or so many jewels, so many servants, so much wealth and opulence, or one is a bird in a tree without any cloth, without any helper, he goes alone and picks up some sticks from here and there and builds his own house and picks up some grains to feed his family. The happiness is there in both and misery is there in both. I am simply concerned with serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Simply practicing my devotional service, I don't care about trying to imitate the materialistic people.
So again, here's someone who's a great devotee of Krishna, and he's very, very renounced, isn't it? Yeah. So he's actually he's a trader. He's a shop owner. He's a store owner. He sells banana products, right?
Well, Kolabecha, isn't he?
That's right. Yeah. So he's a salesman. Yeah, banana
Yeah.
salesman, as it said there. So, but at the same time, he's like super renounced, right? He actually doesn't really care about making money at all, even though he's a businessman, that's his profession, to make money. But he's so renounced. He just, in our Krishna conscious philosophy, we say that we should only have so much to keep the body and soul together. Prabhupada really brings it down to this point, that we only need as much as what's required to keep the body and the soul together. We don't need to live excessively. So Srila is like the pinnacle of that principle. And he gives a nice analogy here. Right, so what was that analogy? Do you remember when we read this in the last paragraph of the bird and the king? I'll give you a moment just to reflect on that. So he's making a comparison there.
So he's making a comparison between the rich and maybe not the poor, but maybe just somebody like an animal. They've both got to do their own little thing. Fend for the family. But the happiness and the misery is going to be for both of them.
Yeah. So he's saying how the bird. Have you seen like birds? All day they're looking for food, right? All day they have to find worms or whatever they eat. They have to all day spend looking for food, and they have to be working to build their nests. Yeah. So birds are very busy actually, right? Trying to stay alive, very busy, trying to just stay alive, trying to stay comfortable. Yeah. And even when they get something, they like always looking. Is someone going to take what I found, the food that they find? They're always looking and seeing. Do you ever see that with animals? They're always afraid, isn't it? When they're eating, they don't just kind of get on with it, but they have a little pull of it, pick away a little bit, and then they're looking like, when's the next bird going to come, or when's the next squirrel or whatever, mouse, when's the next thing going to come and try and take my food? So he's comparing this kind of bird to people with a lot of wealth and opulence, So the more you have, then the more you have to worry about it. Yeah. So more money, more problems. There's a saying like that, isn't it? So because you're always worried that, you know, I've got so much, I have to look after it, and any moment it could go, because that's you know, deep down people have that realization, any moment it could go. So his worldview, Srila Kolavecha Srila, his worldview is that why bother working hard if it's just going to make you anxious, isn't it? So all that energy and that investment of time, and, you know, meditating always on what's coming next, what's going to go, what's coming, what's going, ins and outs, you know, profit and loss. Instead of that meditation, meditate on Krishna. Live simply and meditate on Krishna. He says, I don't care about trying to imitate materialistic people. You know, he's happy with his hole in the roof air conditioning and torn dhoti. You know, good for summer. Right? Of course, we don't have to copy him. We don't have to, as devotees, think, you know, that's the standard. Okay? Because Srila, he represented, he's like the personification of that renunciation. We don't have to copy him, but at least in our own little ways we can find, isn't it? You know, where are we being a bit excessive in our life? You know, where are we, what we're meditating on that's pulling us away from Krishna? It's perhaps things we don't need so much. Sometimes that's the case. So there was a side story I could tell about Sridhar, you know? Do you want to hear it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so his neighbors, he lived in this, as we read, like, you know, in this very simple home, a thatched hut, you know, with maybe some holes in the roof and that. So very, very simple living, very austere. And his neighbors, they would say, like, well, you know, why don't you just, you know, you're spending 50% of your earnings on doing the Ganges puja, on doing Ganga puja, you know, just save up a little bit more, just do a little, you know, just work a little harder, and you know, fix up your roof, you know, get yourself a good set of clothes, yeah. And they would, like, you know, just try and be helpful, or just try and advise him, like, you know, how you manage your money better, you know. But even that much he wasn't willing to do. He was so, you know, like, I just need the bare minimum. I just need to get by day to day. That was his, you know, his goal in life, was just to make it through the day, and 50% would go to Ganga Puja. That was his whole heart in life, was invested in doing that Ganga Puja. His heart and soul was in that. And at night he would, like, chant, you know, all night. He'd be like, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, real intensely, you know. And his neighbors, they would get disturbed because, like, you know, he's barely got walls on his house. So we hear this when we go on the Mayapur Parikrama from, you know, because his place is still there, just next to, if you've been to Mayapur, just next to the Jagannath temple in Rajapur. You have to walk outside of the grounds a little further up the hill, and you can see the Sridarangan, where Sridhar lived. And they've made a little monument there just to, you know, mark the place. But his neighbors there would say, you know, like, just, you know, like, you're suffering, you're screaming all night, Hare Krishna, you're screaming that God will come and help you. Just, you know, let us advise you, let us help you. And he was like, no, you know, I don't need your help. So he was saying, you know, he was like almost stubborn to the point of just being like, you know, fixed in his vrata, fixed in his vow that Krishna is my maintainer, Krishna is going to protect me. So that was his life, you know. So this is the life of Sridhar. This is the life of pure devotee. Again, it comes to that principle that he was more attached to Krishna. That's why he can be so detached. Yeah. So there was
Can I ask a quick question, please?
Please, yeah.
So if he was Krishna's devotee, why not give the 50% of his earning to a Krishna temple or to Krishna directly? But why did he give that to the Ganges?
So that was his own bhava. That wasn't like, he wasn't Krishna's devotee, but he appreciated, like, you know, the Mother Ganges. because Mother Ganges is also a devotee of Krishna. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he would offer his puja at Mother Ganges. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So there's Lord Shiva. He makes a statement that those who say they're the devotees of Krishna, they're not really the devotees, but those who are the devotees of Krishna's devotees, they're really Krishna's devotees. Huh?
So the servants of the servants of the servants. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So he really imbibed that mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. So Ganga Mata, she's Vishnu Tadiya. She's connected. She's a paraphernalia of Vishnu. So it's considered that to worship Vishnu Tadiya is better than worshipping Vishnu himself. To worship those things which are connected to him.
Yeah.
So that's why he could take to Ganges Puja. Because he could personally go and bathe in the Ganges. He could have that personal connection. That was his personal connection. Not having deities or anything like that. So you can do that. You can have the deity. But he's he felt that personal connection was like the Ganges are just flowing past his home. So why not go there and take advantage, right?
Yeah. Okay, I understand. Thank you.
So Smita Mataji, would you continue?
Yeah. Actually, Sridhar, the banana salesman, knew that in the material world, no matter what position you take, there is always a mixture of happiness and distress. You may be a big head of state, but you will also have headaches and also some joy. But nobody has either pure joy or pure headache. It is mixed. Kol Evacha Sridhar. His offering was simple. Whatever he had, he was offering to Krishna. He was thinking, if Krishna wants to make me rich, he can make me rich. I am working my honest way, selling vegetables. I am doing whatever I can. I am not going to stop worshipping Krishna. He was always happy. He was happy because he was independent of the material situation. Even though he was in a poor situation, he was actually the richest person.
So this is how his thinking was. Now he's telling us this, that if Krishna wants to make me rich, he can make me rich. If Krishna wants to make me poor, he can make me poor. Yeah. So he didn't believe in working really, really, really hard and saving up so much money for a bright future. He believed that whatever Krishna needed to give him, he would give him that day. And that was enough, So again, he is an extremely pure example, but it just goes to show, money is it leads to so much attachment in this world. We have so much dependency on money, isn't it? For our material situation, we're so much dependent on that material situation, and then money is the cause of that, right? So it said that Kali, the influence of Kali resides in 4 places, isn't it? Yeah. Does anyone remember this from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam? Where does the influence of Kali lie? If you don't want to get entangled in Kali Yuga, there's 4 things you should avoid. Does anyone know?
One is gold, Prabhu.
Sorry?
One is gold, isn't it?
Gold isn't one of the 4, but yeah. There were 4 places which Maharaj Parikshit gave Kali to reside.
Gambling, intoxication, is that the one?
Yes, gambling is one. Intoxication, so untruth, yeah, and intoxication is another one. So where there's lack of austerities, then there's intoxication. When there's lies and cheating, there's gambling. Yeah. Any more?
Meat eating.
Meat eating, yeah. So when there's lack of compassion, then there's meat eating, there's animal killing.
It's the 4 principles of ISKCON, isn't it? Illicit sex.
Yeah, illicit sex is the other one. So impurity. Yeah. So impurity, or if we turn it the other way around, if we live a pure life, a truthful life, a compassionate life, and a life where there's some form of austerity, these are 4 principles, or the 4 regulative principles are based on these 4 things. So Kali cannot touch someone who lives a life with these 4 principles. But Kali said that he couldn't, at that time of Maharaj Parikshit, he couldn't find anywhere where anybody was living like this. He couldn't find anywhere that people were living immoral lives. Everybody in King Parikshit's kingdom was living a pure life. So then Parikshit had to give him one more place to live because he couldn't actually live anywhere. And Ammu Mataji, what was that place, as he said?
Gold, Prabhu.
Yeah, so when there's hoarding of gold. Yeah. So similarly here, Polavecha Sridhar, he was a businessman, but he was so adverse to, getting caught up in, investing and saving and profiting. It's like, this is the nature of a businessman typically, but he was quite adverse to it, even though he was able to do enough business to stay alive. He knew how much he needed. He was intelligent. He wasn't foolish, even though he was so simple, so extremely simple. He knew how much he could survive with, and that was what made him happy, and that was the principle. So we can have in our life on a practical level, we can have our target, like, this is what I need, understanding what I really need, and then just working with that, and that will save us so much headache, isn't it, as it says here. So so Smita Mataji, you want to continue a little bit further? Let's see if we can get to the end of this pastime.
Lord Chaitanya told him, actually, you are a very, very rich person. I know that you have somewhere hidden some huge wealth. I'm going to reveal it one day and let everyone know this. This is all a show. Actually, you are richest person in Navadvip. You are very rich, so you should give me some bananas and some vegetables, because I don't have any money.
So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking with him, because he's come to his house to beg some food. Yeah. So he's saying, you're really rich, you don't need the money, you can give away the food. And he's actually like dependent on that money because he's actually very poor. So this is how the pastime is unfolding. Yeah. So do you want to continue on?
Okay. Srila was a very simple devotee, so he was thinking, it is a great opportunity for me. He is a pure Brahman. He is a great master coming to my shop. Actually, he was a little bit afraid of offending Lord Chaitanya. But actually, Lord Chaitanya was doing it in a friendly way, and Srila was also taking it like that. He didn't want Lord Chaitanya to go anywhere else, so he gave Lord Chaitanya some bananas and some other vegetables. Lord Chaitanya would regularly eat only the vegetables from Sridhar.
Yeah, so in this last sentence is very nice, isn't it? That Lord Chaitanya would eat only the vegetables from Sridhar. Huh? So it just shows what kind of relationship they had, huh?
Yeah, and also Sridhar didn't want Lord Chaitanya to go anywhere else.
Yeah. This is it. So you can see like this type of exchanges they had. You can really meditate on these type of exchanges they had. So on one hand, he was extremely simple and he would only charge the bare minimum for the product. Yeah. And then On the other hand, there was this boy who was just coming to him regularly to disturb him and saying, "You're really rich, you're really wealthy," like, rubbing it in, "You can give me all of the vegetables, it's no problem for you." And you could see like his cloth is torn, his roof is broken, and he's just really coming to tease him. Right? So this is actually rasa. This is actually the, the taste that they had in the relationship. Yeah. And actually said that Kolavesha Sridhar, he was none other than the associate of Krishna. He was a coward boy. Yeah. He was the coward boy. What was the name of that one? I've written down some actually. Kushamasva. So there was, Krishna has 12 cowherd boys, or the Dwadas Gopal. Yeah, just like the Dwadas Sakhas, just like he has. He has 12 cowherd boys. Just like there's 8 main gopis, there's also like 12 main cowherd boys. Yeah, so they're called the Dwadas Gopals. So he's one of the actual Gopals in the Krishna Leela. So actually in the Krishna Leela, they would have these kind of fun exchanges, and here in the Gaura Leela, these are the kind of exchanges they would have. In this way, he was always actually absorbed in the pastimes with Nimai Pandit. So I'm just conscious we've reached time. Do you want to read the last paragraph of this section? And then we'll
Okay.
close after that.
Okay. Then Lord Chaitanya said, "I'm going to reveal your real hidden form one day." Actually, Lord Chaitanya was telling the truth, because banana salesman Srila was the richest person. He had pure devotion for Krishna. Krishna was keeping him in that poor condition just to show the example how a devotee, even in a poor condition, should not give up. It is not that because he is in an opulent position that he is a devotee. Even if a devotee goes through tough times, a devotee stays very dedicated in service. Sometimes Krishna takes a devotee and makes an example, just to show people that he is a pure devotee, and to show the way a pure devotee should act, even in difficulty. Lord Chaitanya eventually did reveal his actual glory, but since he himself was not revealing his position, naturally he didn't reveal Golovecha Sridhas at that time.
Yes, so very instructive, this last paragraph, isn't it? So if you could share your reflections, we appreciate it. Do you have any thoughts, anyone? Any reflections?
It's just what do you mean by opulence, or what is wealth? So wealth in spiritual terms is very different to wealth in material terms. So one can be very wealthy and very rich in one's devotion towards Krishna, and be very poor in material terms. And Krishna wanted to show that. And I think it's quite significant that he does reveal himself, his real self, to Sridhar right at the end, but he keeps that as a secret for a long time, just to be able to give an example what a pure devotee Sridhar is.
It's nice way you made that point. Thank you, Panchali. Yeah. So what do we really consider wealth? Or how do we treat our wealth is another thing. Well, not our wealth, but Krishna's wealth that he's given us. So, yeah. Anyone else? So Ram Navami is coming up next week, right? Wednesday, isn't it? Ram Navami, right? So in this connection to this reading, we can see how the devotee and the non-devotee, they approach wealth or fortune, or Lakshmi Devi is the goddess of fortune, right? So that Lakshmi Devi is none other in the Ramayana. Who is Lakshmi Devi?
Sita.
Sita. So we can see how the demon and the devotees, how they deal with Sita Mata, right? Because the demon, their mentality is, I will take the wealth away and keep it for myself. That's the Ravan mentality. I will take Sita away from Ram. I want opulence, I want everything, so I will take it for myself. Actually all opulence belongs to God, belongs to Krishna. He is the enjoyer of all opulences. Yeah. But the Ravan mentality is that it's for me. I'm the enjoyer. I'm the center of attention. Yeah. But there's so many examples in the Ramayana of those who rever and worship Sita, who serve her. Yeah. And how do they relate to her, and how do they respect her, isn't it? Can anyone think of any which they can share?
In the Ramayana or from anywhere else, or from the Ramayana?
Yeah, just generally in the Ramayana, right? So there are the devotees of Lord Ram, and then there's those who are against Lord Ram. So, because the whole Ramayana is all about reuniting Sita Ram, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what the whole Ramayana is about. It's about reuniting Sita Ram, isn't it? So there are those who are keeping Sita away from Ram, and those who are trying to reunite Sita Ram.
So you've got Hanuman and all of the Senas of Ram, all the soldiers of Ram.
Yeah, the Vanarasena, yeah.
The Vanasena, and on the other hand, you've got Ravana minus one of his brothers. I think one of his brothers came over to Ram's side.
Vibhishan, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Hanuman, Vibhishan. So the way their attitude is very different than anyone else. How about Jatayu? Sorry, what were we going to say, Jigna?
Oh, Lakshman?
Lakshman, yeah, of course. So what can we say about Lakshman?
So he accompanied Ram and Sita during their whole Vanvas,
Yeah.
and then he helped Ram during the war to get Sita back.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And actually, during that whole 14 years, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The whole 14 years, he said that Lakshman didn't sleep one night. He didn't even sleep one night. He was always awake so that he could protect Sita Ram, And the other thing that's said about Lakshman is that he never even looked. When Sita was taken, I can't remember the story now. He had to describe how is Sita, and he never actually looked beyond her feet. He never actually saw how she looked, right? So he was so respectful to her. He didn't ever look at her face. He was always looking at her feet. He was always worshipping that way. And he never slept. He was protected Lord Ram. So yeah. Panchali, were you going to add something?
No, it's just it's a lovely pastime, isn't it, with the golden deer, and how Sita was kidnapped, and that circle that Ram makes, and there are quite a few sub stories you can. I've forgotten. Probably be able to understand. I heard it from my grandmother a long time ago when we were kids. She used to tell us the story to me and my brother. But it also talks about the characters of people, doesn't it? So as to why you would wonder as to why Sita didn't listen. Why was she mesmerized by the deer? there is, I mean, the story can be understood at so many levels. So it just, you mentioning it just suddenly brought memories back. Yeah, but it's a lovely pastime. Yeah. But what also fascinates me about Ramana is, yes, Lakshman he's like Lord Nityanand, is he?
Yes.
The Anand Sheshanag. So where does Bharata stand? Because he was very respectful of Lord Rama. He didn't even sit on the throne. So is Bharat one of his, say, as you would you say he's one of the Panchatattvas in Kali Yuga, or one of the cowherd boys?
Oh, right, okay.
But
yeah, it's not exactly like that. I guess this is a different topic now.
Yeah, sorry.
I was just mentioning the Ramayana because I was connecting it to Srila and had the way that he, appreciated the opulence of the Lord.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I'll ask you this question in the group rather, because it's digressing. So I can always try to check.
I'm just thinking because we're over time now. I don't want to get into too many different topics.
No
but
worries.
there's the Chaturvyuha we read about in the Bhagavatam. So there's Vasudev, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna.
Yeah.
Krishna has 4 expansions.
Yeah.
So those are represented in the 4 personalities. Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrugna. Okay.
Okay.
That's in summary of the answer.
Right. Yeah. Understood. Sorry, I just digressed.
No problem. So we'll end here. Thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed reading the Gauranga book with me. I definitely enjoyed reading with you.
Thank you.
I hope to see you all again soon. This Sunday we're doing Kirtan from 4 to 6 o'clock at the Haveli at the Bhaktivedanta Manor. So if anyone happens to be going by, you can see you there. And also it's being broadcasted as we do broadcast every week. So feel free to listen online if you're not visiting the temple. And again, back on Tuesday for another Sangha, Krishna reading. Okay. So look forward to seeing you, hearing from you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Prabhu. And thank you for the Gauranga book. Thank you so much. I got that.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.